A lot of people say that SSB is no good with QRP. They encourage you to use modes like CW and digital modes which are more efficient. But what if you prefer talking? You might get discouraged and not try QRP at all. I'm here to say that that's not actually true. You can succeed with SSB QRP.
VK3YE portable, VK1DI. Yes, all okay there, Peter?
The first thing is try and work stations that have a pretty low noise floor on receive. Even if their signals aren't very strong, then there's a fair chance they'll hear you, even if you're running QRP. Examples include SOTA, or Summits of the Air, stations operating from national parks, and others operating portable. Even if you're not particularly interested in their awards program or events, they can provide a good source of contacts to have success with SSB QRP. And you working them helps them for their awards program as well. In some cases, they have a requirement where they've got to make a minimum number of contacts to activate a summit or park.
Okay, that's 500 milliwatts. How do you copy now, Peter?
Another thing you can do is contests. Yep, there's big DX contests that you might think are difficult with SSB, doubly so with QRP. But there's a whole other tier of contests out there, like local, statewide, or sprint type contests. Another thing I suggest is sharpen your operating skills. When you turn on, tune the band and see what's happening, where the band's open to, and if there are stations. The ones you're most interested in are those calling CQ, those about to end a contact, and those who are making contacts very quickly that they're likely to be calling again fairly soon. When you keep tabs on those as you tune across the band, you'll be there when they are ready to hear your call. And that's another thing with QRP SSB. If you can tail end a contact that's just finishing, that's got a much higher chance of success than if you were to find a clear frequency and call CQ. I'm not saying don't call CQ, I'm just saying that if there are other opportunities for making contacts, then grab them first, as your chances will be much greater.
Yeah, your signal report is 5 and 9 at 59 to Mildura in northwest Victoria.
When you do get to call CQ, be persistent. Announce your call sign decisively, clearly and slowly. Put out several CQ calls. And every now and then, if you get no response, try tuning up and down the band again. You never know, there may be stations that have just appeared on the band, are calling CQ, or that you didn't hear before but may be workable this time. Try and change the type of contacts you're aiming for. Maybe change your expectations around a little bit. Instead of seeking 15,000 kilometre halfway across the railed contacts with 5 watts, see what you can do with 3,000 kilometre contacts but lower amounts of power, like say 1 or 2 watts. The chances are they are single hop, and you should be able to have success with those sorts of contacts on bands like 80 and 40 metres at the lower power levels.
5 and 3 there, Peter. 5 and 3, go ahead.
You can even go a step more. Try even closer in distances with even less amounts of power. You never know, you may be able to make contacts with milliwatts. And in fact, I've worked contests with stations hundreds of kilometres away, just running 20 milliwatts of SSB on 40 metres. Try and exploit low loss propagation paths. With 100 watts, you might be used to working long distance DX for say 3 or 4 hours per opening. You may still be able to make those sorts of contacts with QRP, but timing is more important. The opening may only last for half an hour to 1 hour. Being around when the signals are at their peak is critical to success with QRP. You can also change around the paths and contacts you seek. For instance, very often north-south paths propagate better, particularly on higher HF frequencies, than east-west paths. Take advantage of seasonal propagation. Sporadic E, for instance, during the summer provides some great long-distance contacts with QRP, and that's not dependent on the solar cycle at all. 5 watts SSB can be more than sufficient for a lot of contacts with sporadic E-type propagation. CQ, CQ, CQ.
Thanks, Peter, for the 5x8. You're 5 and 7, 57.
I've given just a few tips on how you can do better with SSB and QRP. They can work together and you can have a lot of fun. For more ideas, check out my book Minimum QRP, which talks about equipment, operating, antennas and QRP techniques in more detail. Check my website VK3YE.com or search the title on Amazon. If antennas are more your thing, there's also hand-carried QRP antennas, a book especially for the portable QRPer. Again, visit my website for the link or search the title in Amazon.